Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to deal with a new topic, the story of microorganisms. Before going to start, I just want to drop a few questions. Why do we add few drops of buttermilk to the lukewarm milk to make a curd? Why does even the cooked food get spoiled after some days? Why do we get the bad odor from our mouth when we wake up in the morning? So in order to find out these answers, we have to move into our lesson. So without wasting any time, let's get started. "400 years ago, several people wondered such questions and find out the answers. One such person was Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Microbiology, the study of microorganisms, was a branch of science born in 1674 when Antony van Leeuwenhoek observed few drops of lake water under his single lens microscope, which could magnify the objects more than 300 times. His keen observations of different things under his microscope helped him to discover small moving organisms in 1678. He called it as animalcules. Later they were named as bacteria. Along with animalcules, he also observed many microorganisms under his microscope and got their respective names later on. This helped for the further discoveries of microorganisms. Now let us discuss about microorganisms. We have known about the living organisms. They are basically divided into two types, plants and animals. So apart from these, there are some organisms which we cannot see with our naked eye because they are very small. Such organisms are microorganisms. The term itself, microorganisms, is divided into two parts, micro and organism. Micro, very small. Organism, a living creature. Organisms that cannot be seen with a naked eye, and they are microscopic, visible only through a microscope. These organisms are microorganisms. Microorganisms are omnipresent, that is, present everywhere in this living world. These found in all types of environment, ranging from ice-cold conditions to hot springs, deserts to marshy lands. They are also found inside the bodies of plants, animals, and even humans. Some organisms live on others, which we called it as parasites, and some may exist freely. Microorganisms are important to our lives. They are beneficial to us. Of course, some organisms may cause diseases. Microorganisms are classified into many categories like bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, viruses, and microatropods. Bacteria. Bacteria are primitive unicellular microorganisms. They are prokaryotes. without a true nucleus. We can see this bacteria in the buttermilk, curd, over a bark of a tree, in the soil, on our skin and many other places. Like Rhizobium, Lactobacillus and Clostridium. There are several bacteria on our skin, in the soil, and even they are found in the intestine, which helpful in the digestion of food. Many disease-causing bacteria live in symbiotic relations with the other bacteria. The biggest bacteria is found by Heidi and skulls, which is Theomargarita nambiensis, which is found in the coastal areas of Namibia. It can be visible with unaided eye. Bacteria can cause some diseases like typhoid, tuberculosis and septicemia, that is the blood poisoning. There is an activity for this bacteria. Take 1 or 2 drops of buttermilk on a slide and spread it. Heat the slide gently on a lamp for 3 to 4 seconds. And then add few drops of crystal violet. Leave it for 30 to 60 seconds. Wash the slide with water and observe it under a compound microscope. So you can observe a stained bacteria in the buttermilk, that is the lactobacillus. So by this experiment, we can conclude that the bacteria lactobacillus in the buttermilk convert the lukewarm milk into curd. So bacteria is helpful in the curdling of milk. We get bad odor from our mouth when we get up in the morning. This is due to the presence of accumulation of some of the bacteria in our mouth during our rest time. So as soon as we get up, we have to brush our teeth and scrub the tongue. Fungi. These are macro structures living on the land. They are unicellular and multicellular. Of course, eukaryotes contains a true nucleus with many cell organelles. They resemble as umbrella-like structures on the rotten waste materials between the grass of the field, edges of the wooden planks. During the rainy season, the moist bread gets spoiled and its surface is covered with grayish-white patches. When we observe this through the magnifying lens, we can see tiny black rounded structures. This is due to the presence of fungus rhizopus. So the fungus rhizopus spoils the bread, moist bread. Even the cooked food gets spoiled after some days because the biochemical substances, the enzymes and metabolites in the cooked food are prone to the action of microbes, fungus and bacteria. Some of the fungi are Penicillium, Rhizopus and Aspergillus. Rhizopus is not only found on the bread mold but also found on some organic materials like fruits, animal dung and many leather goods. This fungus may cause many skin disorders. Algae. These are microscopic plant organisms. They may be unicellular or multicellular. Very often we can see a greenish pond water in our surroundings. This is greenish due to the presence of algae and some other plants which grow in the pond water. Some of the algae are visible to our unaided eye. These are Chara and Spirogyra. Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra, Spirulina, Serratium, Edogonium, Fucus, Kelp and many more comes under these algae. Many algae are beneficial to us, but some cause the poisoning, the food poisoning to us. The blue-green algae which is present in the fresh water cause some diseases in the fishes and other organisms in the sea. This affected animals when consumed by us as seafood leads to the poisoning in us. Protozoa. Protozoa are another group of microorganisms found in water and soil. They are microscopic animal organisms. Proto means primitive, zoon means animal. They are unicellular in nature and have a typical eukaryotic structure. They are much bigger than bacteria. Amoeba, Euglena, Paramecium, Plasmodium are some of the protozoans. Diseases caused by protozoans are amoebiasis, elephantiasis and malaria. Malaria is caused by a protozoan Plasmodium vivax. Female Anopheles mosquito acts as a vector and carries the Plasmodium vivax to the host living cell which causes malaria. Viruses are an interesting type of microorganisms. They are interlinked with living and non-living. They behave like non-living when they are outside the living host cell and acts as a living microorganisms when they are inside the living host cell, and they reproduce, metabolize just as bacteria, plants or animals. They are so small that it can be visible only through an powerful electron microscope. Diseases caused by viruses are swine flu, bird flu, polio, conjunctivitis, HIV, smallpox, chickenpox, measles, mumps and many more. The hot burning virus is coronavirus, which leads to the pandemic in this 2020. Microatropods. These are microscopic insects present in several areas. They are joint-legged organisms. Cyclops, Daphnia, Scabies mite, eyelash mite are some of the microarthropods. These microarthropods are important for the soil. They increase the soil fertility by the decomposing the biomass through digestion, which converts the bigger compounds into smaller compounds. So by knowing the different categories of microorganisms, there is a question that whether microorganisms are useful or harmful. Some of the microorganisms are highly helpful to man, plants and animals. Few microorganisms are used for preparing the food material. In recent years, the use of microorganisms is increased in industries for the production of alcohol and some drugs, that is the preparation of antibiotics and vaccines. We know that bacteria, viruses, protozoa and some parasites may enter into our body and cause some diseases. It is possible to cure several diseases with drugs and prevent them through vaccination. But the best way to prevent the infectious diseases is to block the pathogens entering into our body by maintaining personal hygiene, good sanitary habits, keep immunization up to date, wash the hands frequently, prepare and handle the food carefully, acquire healthy habits like eating well, getting enough sleep, exercising and avoiding alcohol and tobacco. Prevention is better than cure.